This lesson is about the World Wide Web. And what I mean by that is that we're really in a web that's worldwide. So lots of pages, lots of content that's out there to be found is in other languages. And this lesson is all about how to find content that's written in other languages than yours from other countries on a worldwide basis. So this is really a planetary worldwide system we're talking about. And Google's got a bunch of tools that will allow you to search for all of that content, regardless of the language and regardless of the country. Let me show you how this works. So now, suppose I want to find out what the rest of the world is thinking about activity in the Eurozone. So I'd come to Google and type in my query, Eurozone, just like that. And the way to find out information that's written in other languages is to use the advanced search tool. So in this case, it's in the upper right corner under the gear menu. So you see that? I'm going to click on advanced search like that. And then you get all of the options for other kinds of searches, but we want to limit our searches now by the kind of language that the document or the web page is written in. So right here, I have an option, any language. And you get a whole bunch of pop-ups here. And I'm going to say, look for the Eurozone as written in, say, Spanish. And here, I can limit the results by region. In this case, I'm going to say Spanish articles worldwide. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the search. Let's see what we get. So you get a whole bunch of articles here, all in Spanish, but that's what we asked for. So now let's go look at one. I'm going to just click on this first one here. You see we've got this nice page in Spanish. Lots of Spanish text here. And what I'd like to do is to actually translate it. So in the upper bar here on Chrome browser, when it detects a language other than yours, that is anything that's not whatever you've set your default language to, it will offer to translate it. So I'm going to click the translation. And what you'll see here is it's sent that entire web page to the Google translation servers and brought it back in your set language. In this case, for me, it's English. So you see here, some things are translated and some things are not. So for example, up here in the upper right, this is not translated because that's actually not text. It's an image. Yes, I know it's got text in it, but Google Translate can't reach into an arbitrary image and extract the text and translate that. So some things are not completely translated, but the majority of this stuff is. So here we can discover that it's all about some particular piece of artwork that's being done, some particular play. What's neat, though, is as I roll over this text, I can see the original text. That is, if I'm a little bit savvy about the other language, I can go see what the original content was. So here I can go back and forth between the original text and my translated text. So that's kind of a great feature. So let's go back now and say, I want to discover what people are writing about the Eurozone in Spanish, but not from the whole world, but just a particular part of the world. My gear icon, click on advanced search, and now I'm going to limit to Spanish, as you see here, but just coming from, let's say, I don't know, let's go next door and go to Mexico. I'm going to scroll until I find the Mexico option here, click on that, and now it will be Eurozone articles in Spanish from Mexico. You see how that works? Okay, now I'll just go ahead and do that search, and we've got it. And now we've got all these articles coming from Mexican web servers written in Spanish with the search term Eurozone. Does that make sense? So here what we've done is we've shown you how to do a search in another language on another region. So there's a whole list of regions there, so you can limit your search, whatever. This is particularly useful for trans-world languages like English, German, Spanish, French, and so on, where you can limit the search results, say, to a particular country, even though you may not associate that country with that language. I'll give you another example. For instance, we could look for river dolphins, the great Amazonian river dolphins, advanced search, and I can limit this to, say, Portuguese, because I'm interested in what the Portuguese would say about this. Now, I'm going to do that, and let's say just for Brazil. So I'm limiting it to just Brazil now. Scroll down, Brazil, and now I do the search. Now think about what I just did. I searched in English, that is, using the English terms river dolphin, in Portuguese, in Brazil. So wait a second. So this is kind of a weird mismatch. What I should be doing is looking for river dolphin in Portuguese, that is, translate the term, and then do a search. So let me do this. I'm going to open a new tab, and what I'm going to do is to search for my Google language translation tool. So I search for Google Language Translator. And the first result here is a link to the Google Translate tool. So in this case, I want to look for, say, river dolphin in English, but I don't want it in Spanish. I want it, in this case, in Portuguese. So I select Portuguese, and I get this phrase, Golfinho de Rio. So what I want to do is just copy this and go back to my original search in this other tab. And now I'm going to paste that search, Golfinho de Rio, into my search box. And now, remember, I'm searching in this window in Portuguese in Brazil for this phrase, which is the river dolphin. So you see now I have a lot of great results here. What I'm going to do is click on one of these results and show you what it looks like. Right there, the last one. We'll take that, the last one on the page. And we've got a science page written in Portuguese in Brazil about river dolphins as expressed in Portuguese. So I've got this, and it's all, as you can see, in Portuguese. That's great. Now let me show you one great trick. I've already shown you how to translate the page when you've landed on the page. But notice that we can translate the page here from the search engine. So watch, I'm going to scroll down. You see this right here? It says translate this page. This skips that whole step of going back out into the automatic translation option. And this just does it all in one step. So it sends it off to Google Translate, comes back and does that. Okay, so here we go. Now we've got all these results, all this content as expressed in my language, in English. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing result. But let me show you this language translation tool one more time, because there's other things you can do with it. If I go back to my Google Translate tool, I'm going to change this expression to something like, where is the Shangri-La Hotel? In this case, it's being translated into Portuguese, which is fantastic. I can see it in Spanish. I can see it in any other language I like, including, say, I don't know, just to be complicated, simplified version of Chinese. You see, you can choose these options, and that's a really great trick for searching in that language. So now you know how to do that. Let me show you one other thing. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to that page that we looked at originally, here. And I'm going to grab the URL and go to Google Translate and just paste in the URL like that. And you see what it does. Over here, it gives me a new URL that if I click on it, it translates it into the target language. So in this case, it's translating it into Chinese. So what's important here is that there's a lot of different things you can do to translate. You can use the Google Translation tool to go from your language to another language. Really handy when you want to search for specific kinds of terms. Or you can translate entire pages by pasting in a URL. Best of all, when you land on a page in a language that you didn't anticipate, Google Chrome will offer to give you the translation option at the very top of the window. So click on that and then you can see exactly what's going on. In summary, what we've got here are a bunch of tools that are really great for doing language manipulation, for doing language translation, for doing searches in other languages, limiting it potentially to other countries. So go ahead now and try this in the examples, in the activities given below. See how far you can get with that.